Good morning, dear children. Welcome back to our next history class. Let us begin our history period of today with a very good proverb in English and also understand its meaning. The proverb is, listen carefully, every cloud has a silver lining. I repeat, every cloud has a silver lining. It means that we should never feel dejected or disappointed because of the problems which we face in life. We should never lose hope because difficult times or difficult situations always lead to better days ahead. Difficult times or bad days are like these dark clouds which block the sunshine. Sunshine represents hope, faith, optimism, etc. We can best relate it to the current times of COVID-19, dear children. We are facing testing times today. COVID-19 is similar to the dark cloud, and our faith represents, or our hope is that silver lining which will definitely pull us out of this grim situation, and we will lead a wonderful life ahead in future. Keep this thought well in mind and never feel disappointed in life. We will begin today, we'll take the lesson further today with the reasons why the struggle of 1857 failed. We have to learn the causes. Even after giving a very, very strong fight to the Britishers, the Indians had to face defeat in the freedom struggle of 1857. Before proceeding, let us recapitulate the previous part of the lesson. We started with the lesson, that is, the freedom struggle of 1857. If you remember, we have revised it a couple of times, but we will devote a few minutes for revision once again. Before I actually start with the revision and the explanation, dear children, I hope you are well equipped with your textbooks and pencils so that you don't miss out on any point. You can mark the important part of the lesson, the sentences, the dates, the names simultaneously as we are revising and the further explanation of the lesson proceeds. So be attentive, all ears, listen to the explanation carefully. Now if we go back to what we had started with for a quick recapitulation, we had learnt that how the Britishers made an entry into the Indian territory by the advent of the East India Company, and gradually they started spreading their supremacy over India. They did not stop here, but they went to the extent of interfering in every possible way in the social, religious, cultural, economical life of the people. There was extreme harassment of the Indian community at the hands of the Britishers. The Indian farmers and the artisans were left in utter miserable condition because of the introduction of new economic policies which we have already learnt previously. Likewise, they also interfered in the social life, so much so that it was a great blow to the Orthodox Indian community. This was just a glimpse, but then we also learnt that even the sannyasis, the fakirs were disappointed. The tribes, that is the tribal folk of India, was also harassed, and therefore even these were not satisfied with the Britishers. The big and small princely kingdoms were also in a way tortured by the Britishers, and therefore even they were not happy with the British rule. The Indian sepoys, that is the Indian soldiers, who actually triggered this revolt of 1857, were the most dissatisfied. We also saw the causes, that why there was a lot of dissatisfaction in the minds of the soldiers, and it was because that they were ill-treated by the British government on every front. We've also learned the immediate cause, that is the introduction of the long Enfield rifles, wherein the cartridges were to be torn off with the help of teeth, because those were smeared or covered with the fats of cows and pigs. It was very difficult for the Indians to cope up because of the religious sentiments of the Indians, and therefore it was a great blow to the Indians, and particularly in the minds of the Indian soldiers. And this was actually where the outburst took place, where Mangal Pandey, a sepoy in the British Army, retaliated because he felt that it's wrong on the Britishers to thrust upon us that we should use these cartridges, because it was against their religious beliefs to tear off the cartridges cover with the help of their teeth, because it was made by the fats of pigs and cows. The moment Mangal Pandey rose in revolt and he killed an English officer, he was arrested and hanged till death. In retaliation of this act of the Britishers, the Indian soldiers marched to Delhi, and on the way there were innumerable people, thousands of Indian people, hailing from different communities, different backgrounds. There were farmers, fakirs, sannyasis, workers, artisans, soldiers from every part of India who voluntarily joined this march and reached up to Delhi, and they declared Bahadur Shah as the Emperor of India so that he would lead the revolt single-handedly and the others would carry it forward under his supervision, guidance and leadership. Further, we also learnt about the scope of the struggle. Dear children, we have learnt through the map which is given on page number 17 that you can very easily find out the places which are marked with the red dot, that the revolt spread to all these parts. So it was concentrated on the northern part of India. There were a few places in the northwest region, even in the eastern part of India, and it also went down to the southern part of India till Kolhapur and Nargund. So there were number of revolts which took place in places like Allahabad, Banaras, Bareilly, Jhansi, Kanpur and Lucknow. These all places have had very active revolters in comparison to the other territories in India. Of course, it also spread to some parts of South India, and we have the Chhatrapati of Satara, that is Pratap Singh, and his officer, his very, very loyal and brave officer, that is Rango Bapuji. Then we have Chima Sahib of Kolhapur. We have Bhagoji Naik of Ahmednagar. All these people took the revolt ahead in their respective territories, in their respective regions or in their respective areas. Along with this, the women were also an active participant in the revolt of 1857. It may be the ladies or the women who hailed from a princely background, maybe the queens, or see the range, right from queens to the tribe, that is the Bhils, more than 400 female Bhils actively participated. They led the revolt in places like Khandesh. So the scope of the revolt, or the scope of the struggle, was far and wide. It did spread to almost all the parts of India, and maximum participation was there from every strata, every religion, every community, every territory of India. Further, we also learned about the leadership of the struggle. If you remember, dear children, we have already come to know that Bahadur Shah was made as the emperor of India, and it was done so because these revolters felt that there should be a single leader who would lead the revolt, and under his leadership they would join hands and fight against the Britishers. But unfortunately this was not to happen. Bahadur Shah was a very, very weak Mughal emperor, and therefore he could not stand the British attack. The moment there are history is replete, that means history is full of such examples that whenever a king or an emperor is weak, of course, the invaders or the attackers or his enemies are bound to attack and annex or capture that kingdom, because it's very easy to do so. The same thing happened when in the 18th century in India, when the Mughal power had started declining or weakening. It was taken as an advantage by the foreign invaders. They started attacking, and one such invader was Nadir Shah Abdali, who attacked India. He was very sure that he would win the battle against the Mughal Empire, because the Mughal Empire was very weak, because the leadership was weak under Bahadur Shah. But then it was proved wrong, because even in those times India showed a very strong Hindu-Muslim unity. We find the role of Marathas very, very prominent in this battle of Panipat, where the Marathas fought against Nadir Shah Abdali because they wanted to save the Indian territory. They fought on the side of the Mughals against the foreign invader, that is Nadir Shah Abdali. Likewise, if we talk about this revolt of 1857, we'll come to know that the moment other leaders like Rani Lakshmibai of Jhansi, or Tata Tope, or Begum Hazrat Mahal, or Commander Bakht Khan, or Nana Sahib Peshwa, when they came to know that it is not possible for Bahadur Shah to lead the revolters single-handedly, because he was absolutely weak, and therefore they did not wait that what would Bahadur Shah do or what would happen. Instead, they took the decision of leading the revolters, and they were very active in, all these leaders were very active in taking the revolt ahead, giving a very fierce fight to the Britishers. So the nature of the revolt in places like Delhi, the western part of Bihar, or Kanpur or Jhansi, the revolters were very active because the leaders were very active. Like leaders like Maulvi Ahmad Allah, Kuwar Singh, Begum Hazrat Mahal, Nana Sahib Peshwa, or Rani Lakshmi Bai of Jhansi, Tata Tope. They gave a very, very intense fight to the Britishers, and the revolters supported them